All right, how are you guys doing today? Right now, we are in a segment podcast of Creative TV. My name is Jazz, and we have today our lovely guest, Miss Nichole Wilson. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for
Great,
having me
great.
today.
Also, I wanted to say thank you for the opportunity. I am grateful and I am privileged.
I am as well.
Absolutely.
I think this is reciprocal. So I appreciate the time and for you sharing your platform. I know it's been used for great things. So I am humbled and honored to be here.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Miss Nichole, tell us a little bit about yourself.
A little bit about me. So I'm currently on about career number 6
Okay.
as a food entrepreneur. I grew up as an investment banker.
Oh, wow.
That's where it all started on Wall Street. I wanted to be
Okay.
a titan on Wall Street, so I spent a good 5, 6, 7 years there. Then
Awesome.
I did some corporate strategy. Worked and lived in Japan for a while,
Wow.
and then moved on to PepsiCo after business school. And
Oh,
that's when
okay.
the food bug bit me. I mean, the food bug bit me a long time ago
Okay.
because I will eat just about anything.
Wow.
But that's when I knew that I wanted to really work in food.
Wow.
So at PepsiCo, specifically Frito-Lay, I was in marketing. I spent some time in mergers and acquisitions,
Okay.
and then lastly ended up in R&D. So when you see me in the batching area
Oh,
doing a little
wow.
of this and that, that's what it's up to. And then before co-founding Everybody Eat with a great partner, I was in impact investing here in Chicago, helping to lead a portfolio that was investing in nonprofits that were focused on youth equity on the South and West Sides.
Wow. Amazing
So
story.
it's
Amazing.
been a meandering journey, but it's led me to where I am and feeling prepared now that I'm here.
Awesome. 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 Listen. So, can you tell us a little about, your journey starting your company?
Yeah.
What made you focus on healthy products with clean ingredients?
Oh boy. So for me, like I said, always been a foodie
Okay.
and have always been a stickler for really good ingredients.
Oh, wow.
Because if you use really good ingredients, you can use fewer of them and
Okay.
you don't have to put all of the other stuff in them that makes us sick, that inflames us, that ends up keeping us from enjoying food in all its glory.
Oh, wow.
And my kiddos, both, I found out when my daughter Ella was about 3 and my son Carter was really young, that they were both lactose intolerant.
Okay.
So they don't have the enzyme that breaks down lactose.
Oh.
So no dairy for little kids. Little kids with no cheese,
Oh,
no
wow.
Cheez-Its, no string cheese. It was crazy. Like I was just like, oh my goodness. And so I met my partner who has autoimmune diseases and can't eat dairy, egg, gluten, soy, or corn.
Okay.
And as she and I were formulating different business ideas, we always talk about the famed dining room table because she would bring me the snacks that she could eat. And I was like, you eat this stuff? And I told her, stop bringing me snacks. I don't want your snacks. Your snacks are horrible. And she said, this is all there is out there to eat if I've got a special diet. So I had experienced it with my little people a bit. And I thought, you know what? Just because you have a special diet doesn't mean you should give up the joy of food.
Okay.
So that's when she and I started looking at building a technology platform originally.
Oh, really?
So that we could showcase clean, allergen-free food, and there was no food out there that tasted any better than the bad stuff she was giving me.
Oh, wow.
And she said, you know what? I'm not sure I want to start another company, but if you can help me find something to eat, then I'll do it. And I said, I know a little something about food.
Oh, wow. That is amazing.
And here we are.
Oh, wow. Oh. Well, listen, can you tell us about a specific moment that pushed you to take that leap into entrepreneurship?
Oh, I think a specific moment. Well, I will tell you that the seed of entrepreneurship has lived in me for a very long time.
Oh, okay.
So my father is an entrepreneur and has been for many years.
Okay.
And I always tell people I grew up under his watchful eye and he grew up under mine.
Oh.
And so I watched and I saw that with the different companies that he created, that he would create value for investors and consumers, but also his employees.
Wow,
and he
amazing.
told me as a young person, he said, this family believes in service. You need to figure out what your purpose is, and you need to figure out what giving back means to you. And as I was a young person trying to figure it out, I watched how entrepreneurship became one of the ways that he would serve. And I
Okay.
thought, you know what? That actually might be my jam.
Wow.
And so I had purposely curated a career that gave me a skill set that was broad and deep, although
Okay.
some people just didn't know what I was doing. But there was a plan, I promise.
Okay. All right.
And then when I actually entrepreneurship presented itself, it was, Nichole, this is your purpose.
Amazing.
This is what you've been training for. This is the race that you've been training for. Lace up your spikes and get out there on the track. And that's what it was. It was when they talk about opportunity meeting preparation. It sounds a little bit cliche, but it was real. It said, there's an opportunity here, and I'm built for this.
Nice.
And then that was the leap.
Wow.
And then we realized we had to make it and thought, oh, Lord.
Wow. So, can you tell us a little bit about your company and how does it reflect your personal values?
Absolutely. So the company's known best by the brand, which is
Okay.
Everybody Eat, and it's even implicit in the name
Okay.
that we want everyone to have the opportunity to come together over a shared love of delicious food.
That's
And we
amazing.
want everybody to eat, but the only way that happens is if it tastes good.
Okay.
And so even though we focus on making food that's free of the top 14 allergens and corn, the most important thing is it's got to taste good.
Absolutely. I
So
agree.
I pulled some of that Frito Lay magic and figured out how to move it in. But for us, it's really about a mission of giving everybody a seat at the table. And we do it literally with our food
Wow.
as we bring folks together who haven't shared meals in years, but now can all eat the same thing.
Wow.
And then also figuratively with our team. We have a team that hails proudly from the south and west sides of Chicago, many of them from some of the most disinvested neighborhoods, and come in every day to build not just jobs, but careers, and do so in a way that they constantly impart their own insight and wisdom and
Okay.
institutional memory to the team, and a culture in which we laugh a lot, but we also fail forward,
Okay.
and we fearlessly ask, and we hold one another accountable.
That is amazing.
And so I think that reflects really this idea of bringing everyone together around something good. Too often people get together around things that aren't great. So how do we bring people together around things that are good and help to sustain us and really improve our quality of life?
Wow. That's amazing. So, why did you choose to focus on job opportunities for those that need second chance? And how does that impact your business and your community?
Yeah. So that's a great question. I will tell you, my family, when we moved to Chicago in April of 2016, I remember like watching the news and seeing all of the news coming out of Chicago that was about people who looked like the kids in my house.
Okay.
And I thought, I cannot stand idly by. But what does that look like for me? So at the time, if you remember when I was going through my circuitous journey, I talked about impact investing.
Mm-hmm.
I joined Chicago Beyond, and they're an impact investor, as I mentioned, and started seeing the opportunity to get to the root cause of some of the issues that were plaguing the south and west sides of Chicago, and said economic development has to be a big piece of it. It can't be just as simple as, okay, we'll give this group a grant or we'll put a program in this neighborhood and then just walk away. I learned that you've got to build infrastructure. And so you've got to build systems, and then you've got to get in the way of systems and processes that hold inequity in place. And so taking that knowledge and saying, okay, which population is most deserving, one, is most able, two, and is most left out, three. And so that got me to thinking about what does it mean to be an employer who is background friendly. And then as I started working with the organization that I had been with and life coaches who were working with those participants, that became our first pipeline.
Wow.
and we started working together. And so many of the philosophies that our organization is built on came from just working with our team members and finding employer appropriate ways to address things like food insecurity or housing insecurity
Okay.
or education or predatory lending. Many things that are just continual barriers
Okay.
for this population that is near and dear to me.
Wow, amazing.
I know that's a long answer, sorry.
Oh no, no worries, no worries. I mean, I could learn all of this. This is amazing. From what you're telling me, this is amazing. So, my next question is,
Yeah.
what were some of the challenges you faced when you started your business, and what did you do to overcome them?
So I will tell you challenges on the I'm going like this because it's like, oh man, the challenges is it's manufacturing. When you decide to self manufacture, it is unlike anything you've ever seen or done
Wow.
before. And I say that because what what you start off with manufacturing, especially in a really small form, it's just a little bigger than what you do in your kitchen,
Okay.
and you call that bench top. So you're saying, okay, I've got blenders at home. This blender's a little bit bigger. I've got mixers at home. This mixer's a little bit bigger.
Okay.
I've got an oven at home. This one has 4 racks instead of 2. So you make that first transition and you can kind of transfer skills.
Hmm.
But that's when we were at 1,000 square feet. When we moved to 9,000 square foot, in that facility, we now had the ability to buy ovens that had 40 sheet pans instead of 5, mixers that are taller than I am,
Hmm.
and starting to create food at scale.
Okay.
At that point, it was like, oh man. And then
Wow.
every day something breaks. Nothing goes according to plan. No matter how well the machine is oiled, how well the team is, it is something, and it could be the fact that it's humid outside and it's messing up my dough.
Oh wow.
And so what I'd say is that it becomes an exercise in resilience.
Okay.
And it really is about the people you're doing it with. Like, my business partner is great. She and I some days would look at each other and say, what are we doing? And we'd laugh about it and say, you know what? I don't know, but we're going to be doing it again tomorrow. And so those challenges, I think, are really about some of it. It's the mechanical challenge, but it really is the challenges of your mindset and challenging your resilience and challenging
Absolutely.
your determination. And in those moments, you have to remember your why.
Right.
And for me, the why is about the food, and the why is about the people.
Amazing, amazing. So, can you share with us about a milestone or a story that you are particularly proud of?
Let's see. You know what? I will share one. It's I'm thinking back because it's one of our team members who went on to join another company after creating and kind of building a foundation with us. And we are always saying, you come here, we don't want to hold you here forever. Okay. We will. But, one of the things I learned at PepsiCo is some of the pride you take is where your team members go next. And so PepsiCo prides itself on having a really large number of folks who are currently CEOs of Fortune top 50 companies.
Oh, wow.
You go through and you look at how many of their resumes are PepsiCo,
mm-hmm.
and there's pride in that because you become a training ground that helps to launch people. And so one of our teammates, Anthony, came to me and he said, he was so proud. He's like, I'm going to be able to lease a car. And I said, okay, all right, let's talk about it. And he said, I just need you to do the employer verification. And so while I'm on the phone starting to do the employer verification, I look down at the paperwork, and there is a 27% APR on the car. And I was like, that is worse than most credit cards. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what is this? And he said, and I was like, give me your phone. He goes, you look really angry. I don't want to give you my phone. I've never seen you angry. Give me the phone. But I got on the phone, and they thought the person on the other end, who started off very not nice, felt like they were going to be on the phone with Anthony, one of our hourly wage owners. Mm-hmm. Instead, they ended up on the phone with a Stanford MBA who was talking to them about predatory lending practices and go get your damn manager.
Oh, wow.
And so it was a completely different dynamic. And so, you know, we had to work on Anthony's credit score. So we were able to take that down from 27 to 16%. But then the proudest part is after that, we talked through it and then we modeled it.
Oh, wow.
And I said, okay, now let's dial it all back. And I said, okay, now it's your turn. I'm the person on the phone. I want you to negotiate with me your rate.
Okay.
And he was like, what are you talking about? And I said, just talk to me. Just talk to me. And so it became an opportunity for me to model privilege and for him to borrow my privilege in that moment to be able to create his own. And that is what I think is a really important life lesson for him that I know that he carries on, because he was telling me, I taught my sister and I, you know, my mom and I talked about it. And there are other ways in which I've seen him show up for himself and advocate for himself, because I think he had a spark of it and a taste of it, and then said, this is something that I can do.
Awesome.
And that for me was a really proud moment, because I think it was an opportunity to pour into another human in a way that they could then pour into others and lift all boats.
Wow, that is an amazing story. Wow. So let me ask you this, Nichole. How do you support and empower your employees, especially those that are transitioning and starting anew?
I will tell you, I think one of the first ways that we do it is by creating a space of psychological safety and trust. And I think when we go through the interview process, a lot of it has to do with growth mindset. Some of our employees have been with us for many years, but growth mindset, how ready are you to change? Because that's something that I can't want for you. You've got to say, I want to do something different. I'd like to build a career. And I think it's really being able to say, you are not your worst day. You are not your worst experience. You are here now, and what you've learned in the past will help you as you go forward. But let's focus on what's going forward and really having conversations about what do you want to do. And I will tell you, there are so many of our team members want to start a vending machine company, want to build a t-shirt company. There's a lot of entrepreneurial, I would say, fervor in this building. And so I've worked on business plans. I've talked people out of really bad ones. I mean, but it's really about supporting the whole person and holding them accountable when they aren't holding themselves accountable to the potential you both know that they can reach. And so that, for me, is I think you support folks by saying, we see you for who you are. I see your power and potential. I want you to see it too. And then every day I want you to come and deliver against it, because we both know it's there. And you're on a journey with us to build this business. Because at this stage, we've graduated from startup just a little bit, but now we're in that growth stage. And that's when it gets hard. And you've got to get resilient. You've got to be able to move with change. But I'll tell you, our team transitions really well.
Nice. So, also another question I have is, what strategies or programs have you implemented to create or foster a supportive workplace environment?
So I would say the strategies start with just transparency. I mean, we are pretty straight with each other around here as much as possible, for better or worse. But I think there is when there's an authenticity of interactions, and when what you see is what you get, that lends itself to a culture of saying, I can fail here and I can fail forward. So that means if a mistake happens, it's like, okay, there's a mistake. Let's get to the root cause. Let's figure out what happened. Let's make sure it doesn't happen again. But it isn't, you made a mistake, you're fired. Because nobody learns, nobody grows. And then whatever institutional memory that person had, they're out the door. And so I think it has to do with that transparency, that authenticity. But then also, too, we try to celebrate birthdays. We have Juneteenth picnic. Everybody's, running around having barbecue. I mean, and then it is also, I think, really fostered by not someone feeling like a cog in a machine,
Okay.
but instead understanding how their individual actions impact the journey and impact their team and the broader company.
Awesome.
And I think when you feel like you're part of something bigger and you know how you can impact it for the better, that creates a culture of ownership.
Okay.
And then we're all owners in this vision, in this journey, because none of us could do it without the other.
Absolutely.
And so I think that is one of the key pieces of the culture. And sometimes we just have to remind ourselves we're just making snacks.
Okay.
We're not making heart monitors. We're not doing open heart surgery. We're not doing brain surgery. We're not building rocket launchers. Like sometimes I think we've got to take a deep breath and say, you know what, like this is food. It's very important. But at the end of the day, we're making crackers.
Absolutely.
And we're making food that's supposed to make people smile. So let's be part of some of the joy that we're hoping we're imparting to and giving to others.
I like that. I like that a lot. Nichole, where do you see your company in the next 5 to 10 years? Are there any initiatives or expansions on the horizon?
Yes. I mean, it is right now, if I had a t-shirt, it'd be grow, baby, grow.
Okay.
We need to do it in a way that is smart and sustainable.
Okay.
But the more people that we can get delicious, clean food to, the better off we all are. The better off the team is. And so, this is the building that we're in now. I'm hoping that we outgrow it in a couple of years, 3 years, that we continue to get into different stores. We continue to reach more geographies. We're national now, and we're in about 6,500 doors now.
Oh, wow.
But how do we continue to take this idea of giving everybody a seat at the table and expand on it, both on the food piece and both on the people piece? And so as we continue to upskill the team, as we continue to bring in experts who can teach the team that are here on the ground, it's really about continuing to just make ourselves better, faster, and stronger.
Awesome.
And so with that comes more products, more stores, more work, and less sleep.
Oh, wow. So, Nichole, what advice would you be able to give inspiring entrepreneurs out there, especially those that are looking to create a socially conscious business model?
So that I would say that there are two main ones. And the first is, it is within you to do it.
Oh, wow.
It is within you. If you have this idea that's keeping you up at night, if there's something that's important to you, if you can't stop thinking about it, then it is within you to do it.
Okay.
So go after it.
Wow.
And there will be challenges along the way, but go after it. Get the right people around you. Get as much of the right resources around you. Take your time, do it your way, but know that it is within you to do it. Like I tell folks, you are built for this. Go into it with the understanding that you are built for it, because you are. And then the second would be to know your why. To really know your why. When it gets hard, when you're trying to close funding and you can't, when you try to launch a new flavor and it bombs, when you're like working really hard and the numbers don't seem right, if you don't know your why, you fall apart.
Absolutely.
But if you know, what's the reason why I decided to do this? What about this is me walking in my purpose? What about this is me walking in my truth? How does it line up with who I am as a human and how I want to contribute? When you have all of that, that's what makes your lows not quite so low. But I tell you, it also makes your highs that much higher.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. Nichole, so based on your experience, what are the key lessons you learned that others could benefit in similar endeavors?
Do your homework. I think do your homework. Do your homework. Know your numbers. If you are, and when I say do your homework, if you've got an idea, become a student of your craft. If you've got an idea, who's done it before? Who hasn't done it well? Who has done it well? Now you can, between ChatGPT and Google and everything, you can figure out if someone has done something like what you're trying to do. And oftentimes there's some nugget of your idea that's existed somewhere else, but the layer you're putting on it is perfecting it. Or how are you differentiating it. So if you do your homework on that idea, you can really figure out what you're uniquely positioned to bring to it. And that's going to be your competitive advantage.
Wow.
So do that homework and then know your numbers. Nobody should know your numbers better than you.
Oh,
right?
Wow. That's something to think about.
Like
okay.
you've got to, as you are starting to say, okay, I want to create something. You think about what you're going to sell it for, but before you think about what you're going to sell it for, you need to know what it's going to cost you to make it. And you've got to begin with the end in mind, but you've got to begin at the beginning. Okay. And so by that, I mean, understand where you want to go, but understand what's realistic now and start putting your business plan together with what you know to be true right now and have your vision for the future. But you've got to basically, you've got to build for now with an eye to the future, and you've got to know what it's going to cost you, because everything is going to cost more than you think. And so, but if you know your number and you know your data, and then when you come to the point where you're raising funds, even if it's from family and friends, if someone doesn't think that you know your business and your numbers, and you don't have that confidence, they're not going to have that confidence.
Awesome. So, how has being an African American female entrepreneur shaped your journey and perspective in the business world?
So I would say, I mean, being an African American woman, like, we're superheroes, basically. I mean, with what we have to like deal with on this planet and on this earth. I mean, what I would say is it is always expect to be underestimated. Always expect that people aren't going to think you're as smart as you are. Okay. Always expect you're going to walk into a room and have to prove yourself, even if you've proven yourself in that room before. Wow. Always expect to be the underdog and use it to your advantage.
Awesome.
Use it to your advantage. You know when you walk in, somebody's going to be like, okay. Right? So that means when you go in that room, you better be cold. I mean, Absolutely. You have to go in there and you have to just kill it. And like as an example, with women particularly who have startups, and especially women of color, when we have a conversation with an investor, they're asking us about what are all the things that can go wrong.
Right.
What they ask our white male counterparts is, how big can it be?
Wow, I never looked at it like that.
That's a Harvard Business Review study proved that out.
Oh, wow.
So then what I do when I go into meetings, the whole presentation is risk mitigation against everything that can go wrong. Then close the computer and say, who wants to talk about how big this can be?
Wow.
So that's it. And we've got our own natural swagger. We've got our own, like, you know how we do. So how do you channel that with all of the knowing your numbers and knowing your why and fully walking in the truth of who you are and say, I deserve to be in this room. I deserve to have you listen to me. I deserve to be the most important meeting you have of the day, and act like it.
Wow, amazing.
So that's it. I get riled up. You start talking about the sisterhood.
I like it. I like it. It's motivational. I'm taking it all in. So, Nichole, what motivates you and inspires you to keep pushing even through tough times?
I mean, I'll tell you, a lot of it is it's my team, it's our investors, and it's our consumers. I mean, what we do and what we create on a daily basis creates value across the board. And so many of our investors are women. So many of our investors are women and people of color who've never invested before.
Okay.
And so for them to be able to see how we're walking on this walk and on this journey is a learning for them. We become the cornerstone in their investment portfolio. So when they have conversations with us, they know the questions to ask the next set of entrepreneurs who they may want to support. So there's a teaching that happens there along with delivering value. Okay. And then it's our consumers. When I see folks eat our food and say, I had no idea this was free of allergens. And we did research late last year that said that over 70% of our consumers don't even have a food allergy. Okay. I was like, oh man, it's taste.
Wow.
Like, you're eating this food and you don't have to? Like, Okay.
That's amazing.
Like that's like an I bet moment, right? You're like, all right, bet. Okay. Like we've come to play and we're delivering. And then I'll say my team. It's folks like yourself. When I come in every day, the team is what gets me out of bed in the morning.
Wow.
Like when I walk in and I'm like, okay, like we're in it. Let's get it. And it goes all the way to the folks who are running things. I have my SVP of Ops, all the way to QA, to your team, like all that. Like I walk in and I'm like, we are in this.
Right. Nice.
Like we are in this, and we are building something really incredible together.
Okay.
And then I see the team and high-fiving over accomplishments or getting through a problem or having those little victories when we're knee-deep in some mechanical madness.
Okay.
Like that is what gets me up in the morning. And that's why I get out of bed.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
So Nichole, is there anything you would like for your viewers and listeners to know out there about your company, your business, or your mission?
I would say what I would love for people to know is that Everybody Eat is about bringing people together. And it's over that shared love of delicious food. And if there is an opportunity to raise the quality of life or the quality of health, that is where we want to play. And that's where we want to be, whether that's a grocery store, whether that's at someone's house, whether that's at a nonprofit. For us, that intersection of health and equity in the vehicle of delicious food, that's our sweet spot.
Oh, wow.
So if there's anyone out there who's thinking, you know what, food equity or tackling food insecurity, or someone who's saying, you know what, I would like for my neighborhood to start eating better.
Okay.
That idea of food access and access to good food and healthy, nutritious food is an area where we want to belong.
Awesome.
And so that is that's sort of the spirit of what we do. You can find us in Whole Foods. You can find us on Amazon. You can find us in now you can find us in Jewel, Mariano's, most of the grocery stores. Okay. And so that's where you can find us. But the spirit of who we are is really embodied in that name, Everybody.
Nice.
So those are the places and spaces we like to be considered in.
Awesome. Well, Ms. Nichole, I want to say thank you for taking this time to explain about your journey, your company, your mission. And to those out there listening, I'm Jazz signing off from Ms. Nichole. Until then, next time.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Kreative TV.